Hi everybody to learn my lesson today. Today I will show you about how to render a React element or multiple React element to render and show in HTML. Here in the previous lesson I have the heading 1 display a string, and heading 1 is CSS and it is an element in React. So I delete this and start with a function. Now I call the set interval. Set interval is a function that calls the function inside for periods of time. Inside I define a function and not necessary to give it a name. So I remove the name and 100 millisecond or the 1 second. After 1 second it will call the function inside and it will call forever. So I can use it as a timer, and this function also be called for a period of time repeatedly. For example, for easier to understand, I add a string here. I get the string with updating ... and I define a counter, a variable of counter as 0, and after calling this function I increase the counter by 1. I npm start to start the project to see the result. I press right click and inspect the element and console, and I see that it count and shows updating. And I also print out the counter here by add the counter. Okay, this is automatically refresh out and very convenient when you debugging your application. So each 1 second it will call this function. And if I want to it into a separate function, I can define it outside the set interval function by adding a function here. It is a separate function, so it allows you when you want to use it in another place. For example, you want to use update timer for more than one time. I copy and paste all the inside here, and I change the log to counting to see here, and inside this I remove the no name function and add with no function name update timer and refresh. Yes, okay, I can see that the code is now counting 1 2 3 4 5 after 1 second, call one time. What about this? This is a function, so I can also add a more function here to update the user interface. For example, the update timer not only updates the inside counter, but it also updates the user interface of the web. So to do that, I define an element inside, an CSS inside, and the element is immutable. It means that I cannot change the element inside when you have a render. So you must re-render the user interface again. And to do this, I want to add a timer to re-render the inside after 1 second or 1000 millisecond. Inside the element we add div. For a division inside the div we had a heading 1 and heading 2. Heading 2 is current timer is I call the timer the function of get current time. How to get a current time? We create a new date. It's an object of JavaScript. So this object, after creating, we call the function to change inside to a string to local time string. It means the time string depending on your location, your country, and after calling the element, we will render the element to the user interface, and I copy the element to and add to the render function. So the render function will have two arguments. The first is element, the second is a point to the root ID of your HTML file of the, and document get element by ID root, and the function of update timer will be called for 1000 millisecond a time. And here inside I added inside update timer to here, and after 1 second it will call the update timer, and after calling the update timer, your interface is updated and the time is also updated. Here you can see that the timer is automatically counting. Very interesting. You can show more detail by click to the element, to the specific element, and see that it automatically updates, and it only updates the change. So other use interface element do not update. This is very convenient and fast when you want to update a complicated user interface.